Here we go.
What's going on, everyone? You are watching and or listening to Realish. I'm Derrick, and this is Matt Torado.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? How are you doing today?
What's good, bro? How you feeling?
I'm doing all right.
Yeah,
A
yeah,
bit exhausted. Today's Easter, so obviously having a family
yeah, man.
gathering. Have any plans yourself, or
Ah,
trying to
just
treat
going
it
to my
as another
parents'
day?
house. Yeah, just going to my parents'
Yeah,
house, chilling out. That's pretty much it. I'm supposed to be watching the Celtics game at 3:30, which I hate that they even put it on Easter because now I'm gonna have to be watching the game on my phone while I'm at my parents' house, and that's annoying.
right,
I want
right,
to be able to watch the game, where I'm sitting down, chilling out,
yeah,
at minimum watching it on my computer.
yeah. Obviously, want to pay them the common courtesy of listening, but you kind of like had to give them the side eye real quick. Like, yep.
Yeah, because no,
There,
I'm the only
that,
sports fan in
I
my
feel you there.
family. I'm the only sports family fan in my immediate family, I should say.
I
And
got you.
yeah, nobody likes watching games with me, so that's gonna be fun today. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty much it, man. That's pretty much it. What you been watching this week?
Yeah, so I just got a chance to watch Secret Life of Walter Mitty, directed by
Oh,
Ben
okay.
Stiller.
Yeah.
I had a chance to watch 2 episodes of Severance on Apple
Okay.
TV. And then
Yeah.
obviously what would be our main topic of discussion, 9 days. So um,
Yeah.
yeah, how about yourself? I can go into a bit more detail about those two, the previous two projects, or if you want to obviously let the folks know what you've been up to in
Yeah,
terms of
man.
watching.
Well, I still I have to watch Walter Mitty, right?
Yeah, Secret Life of Walter Mitty. Does Secret Life, but
I had to check that out, but that was an older film, right? Well, not older. That's like 2015, maybe.
yeah, I think somewhere in that ballpark. I want to say like early 2010s,
Okay.
somewhere in that ballpark.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I had to check that out, man, because I've been seeing that on um what was that, Hulu, I think, Hulu or
I think HBO Max actually
HBO
is,
Max.
is where
Okay.
I found it, but I'm not sure if it's available on
Okay.
other streaming services.
No, I've seen it the last couple of weeks when I've been scrolling through, so I do want to check that out because I have heard some stuff about it. But um, no, I've actually been I've been watching a couple of things, more so the series Atlanta. I had to start that over again because I haven't the new season just came out a couple weeks back, and Jesus, it's been we're in 2022. I want to say the second season ended around 2018, 17, 18, something like that.
So 4 year hiatus basically.
So yeah, it's been a minute. It's been a minute. So I had to watch the first two seasons first before I got into the third one. But I also I went and I'm not sure if I told you this. I actually bought a PS4 for my birthday because there's
Oh,
no way
okay.
in hell I was gonna buy a PS5. Like
Yeah.
is that's too long of a list. But I went and got a PS4, and I actually bought The Last of Us. Um,
Hmm. Great PlayStation title.
right with it. Yeah, the second one I just finished this week, and I bought that. That is the longest game that I've ever played.
Yeah, I think this what clocks in around 20 plus hours.
Maybe even more, but it was like it took me a month to finish it. I've never played a storyline that long,
Yeah.
but I got the first one because I knew that HBO was going to start the series, the production on the series for The Last of Us. So I wanted to get into it just so I would know what I'm going to be watching. If I have a hot take about it, okay?
Okay.
If the series is anything close to The Last of Us Part Two in terms of storytelling and action and all that stuff, I'm willing to bet season one of The Last of Us will be better than the Walking Dead series.
Wait, in terms of Last of Us Part Two storytelling,
Hmm.
All right,
if
ladies and
if
gentlemen, thank you
if
so
the
much for joining
series
us. Uh, like I said, you can find me over on Instagram. No, I'm joking around.
if
Yeah,
if the
I have my.
series if the series is comparable to The Last of Us Part 2 in terms of how they told the story, how they developed it, I am willing to say, because the the epidemic, or whatever you want to call it, that
Yeah,
they are experiencing in that game, to me
more fascinating than.
is more fascinating than The Walking Dead. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What
Um,
do you feel?
about the game. So,
No, about the take,
oh, but
because
well, listen. So I haven't watched. I stopped watching The Walking Dead after Carl's death. So it'd be
oh,
unfair for
yeah,
me to
yeah, yeah.
say if there have been any major improvements since then. I know the show suffered, in my opinion, a major decline in quality.
Hmm.
That's largely
It
due to
did.
AMC wanting to save money, so they rely more on. But it was just very bizarre to see the direction they took the series
Yeah. Yeah.
in certain aspects. But in terms of the Last with Part Two, though, I mean, I've been, it's really funny to bring that up because a close friend of mine is a huge fan of the games. Like,
Mm.
he's a hardcore fan. But I looked him dead in the eye and I said, The Last of Us Part 2 is the most poorly conceived story in the past decade. I have made that claim. Out of everything I have watched, because that's
Really?
based on what I have watched, right?
Okay.
So I do not want to, you understand, because there can be like a number of examples of, oh, you're telling me this is somehow better than Last of Us Part Two, right?
Hmm.
But based on what I've seen
Hmm.
over the past decade, Last of
Hmm.
Us Part Two single-handedly is the definition of poor storytelling. It is
Wow. Are you
terribly
serious?
unrealistic in its execution of mental health. I can ramble on and on and on about how terrible of a game that is on a storytelling level. Gameplay wise, entertaining enough, but when I
Hmm.
feel no emotion, like no emotions to the characters, like why should
Really?
I feel compelled to continue? I felt nothing. I felt nothing for Ellie's girlfriend. I felt nothing for Abby. I felt nothing for all of Abby's storylines, side characters. Does that make sense?
Really?
Nothing. I felt
Bro,
0 ounce of emotion. The only
I
emotion I
felt,
felt. Oh, sorry, you go ahead.
no, no. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say like the only emotion I felt was Joel's death. Spoiler alert: Joel dies in the beginning of the game. I have no issue with Joel. Um, what's it called? Facing the consequences of his actions from the first game. No
Mm.
issue with that whatsoever. But the
Hmm.
fact that they did this weird thing where they present it's there's no reason for them to have flashbacks of Ellie and Joel interacting
Hmm.
because it undermines the emotion of the death scene. When you show the death scene, it comes out as this cliched revenge story of how Ellie's reminiscing about the past, about the time where her and Joel were able to, have this strong connection with each other. If they had done the flashbacks that built up to his death scene, that would have been far more effective. Another example is this whole like even the whole idea of like Ellie being frustrated in regards to Joel lying. It's understandable, right? Because she
Hmm.
didn't realize the true extent of what he did. But you have to
Hmm.
consider this. So let's say for it's a miracle, right? Ellie dies during the procedure, and then in the first game, obviously, a cure is developed.
Hmm.
Here's the problem with that. There's something called cherry picking. When you have someone as powerful as the Flower Flies who has this militaristic capabilities, it's very easy for them to just distribute the vaccine or the cure, whatever you want to refer to it as, to some of the most powerful people. And what they do is they'll manipulate sort of like low tier, like basically like impoverished citizens into
Hmm.
thinking they have a chance of getting that same cure. So
Yeah.
if anything, the world is already
Okay.
erupted into chaos. A vaccine is already ineffective. So I
Hmm.
understand Ellie being frustrated that Joel lied, because at the end of the day, she also killed someone she was very close to in Marlene. But just the idea, Ellie did not even consider the fact that a vaccine is just ineffective at this point when society has literally erupted into chaos. Like you're to tell me, like if I'm not mistaken, I think the population numbers, like the population of affected, is already higher than the population of humans. So
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
can't do anything. You literally
yeah.
cannot do anything. You're gonna find a bloater and you're gonna theoretically inject a vaccine into him, right? Because we don't even know what the vaccine can do. Do you inject the
That is
vaccine?
one thing I was
Yeah,
wondering. Yeah.
yeah. Because can you inject a vaccine into someone that prevents them from getting infected, or can you inject the vaccine into an infected to turn it back into a human? We don't know. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
mind you, it's already set like it has a science fiction element, so you can do just about
Hmm.
anything. That's like the bare minimum of what I
Okay.
have issues. So I'm gonna have you continue because I can ramble on. But you go right ahead. Of course,
You're
my
good,
fault.
bro. You're
I
good. You're
apologize.
good. No, no, no need to.
Ugh,
I think
I had to let that off my chest. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
that was
Okay.
good. No, that was good. I think I actually felt every bit of the emotion in the game. I felt every bit of it. Now, the first one frustrated me um because and I think I told you this. I had to text your brothers Angel and Jonathan
Yeah.
about figuring out how to, because it was my first encounter with one of those bloaters. I didn't know what the hell it was.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
and they kept ripping me apart and everything. So I said, I texted them like, yo, like, how did I get through this? I almost quit the game, to be completely honest, because it was that frustrating. But
Yeah. Okay.
they don't tell you, like, they give you little hints about where to go, but you have to actually figure out certain things, right?
Yeah, you should have to navigate the small gymnasium. I know exactly what you're
Yeah.
talking about if you're a
Yeah,
first time
so
gamer.
those things I wasn't prepared for that
Yeah,
going into
of
the
course.
game, right? So the first one frustrated me in that way. But as I got through it, I think I would say like maybe like 25% of it, that's when I figured out, oh, I have to do X, Y, Z. And so the rest of the game was easier for me. But the second one, the second one, I would actually venture to say that is the best storyline I have ever played from any game. That is the best storyline I've ever played. And I actually think that the flashbacks served as a almost as a filler for the game, right? So they wanted the game to extend for however long it was, right? I actually think that the flashbacks made the story better because of the fact that you're able to get background on certain characters, certain perspectives, certain storylines or whatnot. I think that they did a phenomenal job with it, and I'm telling you right now, when Joel was killed, I was legitimately pissed. I actually, I was like, oh, I didn't think they would actually do that. I was like, no, like there's no way. I'm thinking someone's gonna come in and save the day. You know, the cliche thing where
Yeah.
someone saves the day at the end, you know, right in the nick of time. That's what I was expecting. So when they actually went through with it, I said, okay, so this game is on the level of like Game of Thrones, The Walking Dead, in terms of anyone can get it, and anyone can get it, and don't get too attached to these characters because something's gonna happen, right? So I actually thought the storyline was phenomenal in that sense, which got me extremely excited for the series. Um, I think that the series is probably going to come out next year. Yeah, it'll be 2023. It comes out. Um, so I'm actually looking forward to it because I don't know what perspective they're going to come from with it. There's they could discuss how the outbreak began. They could discuss the fireflies more in depth because still don't really know how they formulated, right? Um, I want to know about all of that stuff too. So I'm actually expecting the series to go deeper than the game, which is making me think, if that's the case, this is going to be significantly better than The Walking Dead. I walked away from The Walking Dead probably when they and this is gonna sound really bad. They introduced this black guy, with a lion or a tiger or something like that. I forgot his name.
Oh, Ezekiel.
Ezekiel, yeah. That I would say like 2 episodes after that, after they introduced him, is when I let go. I'm like, because it was too repetitive. They were doing too much, to me, too much of the same thing,
Yeah,
and I just I couldn't deal with it anymore.
yeah.
But
I understand. I
it was a phenomenal show up until like the season prior to that, because the season prior to that was when I started feeling like, okay, this is starting to get
season
too
six. Yeah,
much.
season five was. Yeah, that
That's
was
pretty much it,
my.
right?
What was that?
That was pretty much it for you, right?
I mean, well, here's the thing, right? So I mean, I was in middle school when the show was airing.
Oh, I forget
So
you're younger than
yeah,
me like
yeah.
that,
Yeah.
man.
So yeah. So me, like the how I perceive films now or TV
Mhm.
shows is not the way I perceived them back then. I was watching
Right.
everything. I
Yeah.
enjoyed literally. I could like I just watched for entertainment purposes and never looked any
Mhm.
deeper. So I was just
Yeah.
I was just intrigued by the world itself,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Reflecting back, like The Walking Dead is such a blur to me
Yeah.
because there's some of the creative decisions by Scott Gimple, who was showrunner, for what 3 to 8 before being replaced,
Mhm.
or 3 to 7 before being replaced, right?
Mhm.
Cut so many corners, and
Yeah.
clearly
And you can see
did
it.
not possess the same passion as Angela Kane does now. I watch like a few scenes here and there, and I can tell they're trying their best to improve. But I mean, they already
Mhm.
they ordered multiple spin-offs. I don't have interest in that. Like I've
Yeah.
given up any hope on that universe being remotely good. I do want to
Yeah.
pick up the graphic novels. I think that's probably the best way of
I've heard a
seeing how
lot
certain
about those graphic
storylines
novels. Yeah.
fulfilled and all
Yeah.
that. But I guess to tie it back into The Last of Us. The thing for me is I I will never like The Last of Us Part Two. Um,
That is
I
so
can
interesting.
ramble on, and the reason why I commented about like how it's a poor reflection of mental health is because throughout the game, Ellie is very obviously PTSD ridden, or
Mhm.
well,
Mhm.
let me correct that. So we are given like a direct scene of
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
in the farm. So like it's like close
Mhm.
to the epilogue, if you know what we're
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about, where
yeah.
Diane
Yeah.
and Ellie are living together.
Yeah.
But obviously she endured a very traumatic experience. Um, the thing that's illogical for myself is I understand that I really don't understand what they are going for with the whole Ellie not killing Abby thing, because given that her mental
Yeah.
health was deteriorating over the course of the story,
Mhm.
it makes no sense for her to possess a sense of humanity after everything she went through. It's illogical to her character. When you're holding,
Yeah.
you know, the killer of your father in your
Mhm.
bare hands,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
You do it. Don't do this weird thing where like, oh, we're gonna take a quick risk because we already have a generic revenge story. At the end of the day, Last of Us Part Two is just another generic revenge story. It just has
Mhm.
really it's a generic revenge story. But the reason
Mhm.
why she doesn't kill her is just idiotic, because
Yeah,
Ellie
yeah, yeah.
never interacted with what's his name, or what's hit the Abby, like like the
The
like
kid
that,
that was with Abby?
yeah, like the little kid Abby
Yeah.
watched over.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
Yeah.
forget their
I
name,
forgot
but
his name too.
um, you know, Ellie never had an interaction with the kid
Mhm.
before.
Mhm.
So, and I'm not to say Ellie will go as far as to kill a child, but you have to remember, I mean, she slaughtered her way through God knows how many people. I mean, I'm not saying that we have to sit around and support, child killing in video games, obviously, but given how Ellie was presented throughout the course of the game, especially like at the halfway mark,
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
I mean, she's willing to to take that dark step, and then
Yeah.
once she kills Abby, right?
Mhm.
She heads back to the farm, realizes she's dissatisfied with herself, and has a permanent marking of everything that she did. Her lost
Mhm.
finger. She can't
Yeah,
play the
yeah, yeah.
guitar anymore. That makes
Yeah.
for a more powerful ending.
Yeah.
It was just anticlimactic, you know. because
Yeah,
it's just I fundamentally disagree with it, and I know people will try to convince me otherwise. It's just I can't. I'm not sure what your thoughts are about the ending. I know.
I honestly, I feel as if the way they ended it, um, is allowing there to be a the direction for part three.
Yeah.
I truly believe that. I think that that's probably the only reason why she didn't kill her, because I think there's going to be another war
Yeah. You know,
eventually.
and yeah.
Yeah, because I think what's going to end up happening is Abby is going to get stronger. Like, I mean, she was already a strong woman, right? I think she's going to build herself back up. Um, the kid that's with her, I think, is going to build himself up, and I think they're going to go and try and because that the way that it ended, to me, it seemed as if Ellie decided she's going to go back to Jackson. I think what's going to end up happening is Abby and that kid are going to go and try to tear down Jackson. I actually
Yeah, it's
felt
just
an emotional connection to these characters, bro. I can't lie. At first I
yeah.
hated Abby, but her reasoning made sense. Her when it was like as they went further into the story as to why she killed Joel, I said, okay, that makes sense. I get it. I get it.
Yeah,
I get it.
the reasoning makes sense. That yeah, I've said before too is obviously I don't want to linger too long on the topic for obvious
Yeah,
reasons,
yeah.
but
I got you.
um the reasoning makes sense. I is like you're to tell me you can pinpoint the exact location. Like what are the that's another aspect of films I dislike
Hmm.
is when characters will somehow find like will somehow be at the location of where an
Hmm.
event has to happen. You're to tell me
Okay.
you
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
pinpoint like because I don't know what documents her boyfriend siphoned through,
Hmm.
but the fact you pinpointed his exact location because I think
Hmm.
they generalized and said he was in Jackson.
Hmm. Hmm.
That was it. You don't know where Jackson is, and I don't think Tommy is the kind of person who like it just makes no sense. Like, why would you leave behind where you're headed if you disbanded from the
Yeah.
Fireflies? Why would you want to
Yeah.
risk endangering the people you're going to be, you're going to be looking over in the case that the
Hmm.
Fireflies view you as a potential threat to them,
Hmm.
or try to try to exploit you for resources in the event that
Right.
they're in need of something. So it was just like stuff like
Okay.
that. It's just illogical to me, and like I said, it was just that's why I feel like The Last of Us was a more simpler story. Explores the relationship between a new father and daughter,
Hmm.
and also highlights the brutality of the world they're living in. It's really simple as that.
So if we get if those holes are filled for you in the series, okay, do you believe that The Last of Us the series will be better than The Walking Dead
Um, I mean, The Last of Us Part Two like would need like a total like
remake?
restructure for me
Cuz
anyway. So I don't think they do it. If
okay.
they did, we'll see. I haven't watched The Walking Dead in years to compare, but
Mhm.
I'm assuming so. I mean, you have a bunch of talented directors on board, very talented actors as well.
Mhm.
So, and I think
Mhm.
HBO is putting in a bunch of money into the project as well. So, I
Yeah.
imagine they're trying to, recreate the world we saw from the video games, all be in the live action setting. So, there's a chance.
Yeah.
There's absolutely a chance. I mean, I think The Last of Us. I feel like The Last of Us is a more interesting universe. Um,
Mhm.
in terms of how they executed the whole affected.
Mhm.
They have these like these mindless. Well, walkers or zombies are mindless too, but I don't know.
Mhm.
I like the
Mhm.
fact that they're able to run,
Oh
and
my god.
I know it's kind of weird to say, but I like it creates actual
Scares the
intensity
hell
too.
out of me.
The fact that you
Yeah.
have these creatures right who pretty much who have like similar um like movements
Mhm.
to humans, right? Which makes
Mhm.
them so dangerous compared to the typical walker, unless you're just in a horde of them. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah.
that's sort of where I stand. I mean, I know I joked around in the beginning. I said thank you so much. I want to head out of here, and everything. But I would say I respect your opinion. Many people share
Yeah,
your sentiment too.
yeah,
They
yeah,
very much think the game is a masterpiece or it's a great continuation of the original. I don't, and I think that's sort of what the beauty is of having these kinds of conversations because
yeah,
oftentimes it evolves with like huge yelling matches where one person is trying to get a point across and the other interrupts, and that's why I like getting a chance to talk with you because I didn't even know you were playing The Last of Us. This is me
yeah, man.
finding out
Yeah,
now, so it's really cool that you're trying to go into the whole video game realm, and it's nice to be able
yeah,
to play stories that aren't as you know gameplay oriented. I mean, they still have gameplay segments, so
mm-hmm.
the player isn't just like sitting at a pretty much watching a movie, right?
Right,
Because you play a
right.
video game, you want to be able to physically, toy toy with your controller,
Yeah,
and all
yeah.
that. So
I
yeah,
mean, the
sorry. Like
thing.
I said, I rambled
No,
on for a while. You go ahead and talk
no,
and
you good.
shut
You
me up.
good.
Shut me
I
up.
think. I think. The uh, the budget is potentially about $150 million for the first season,
Oh Jesus.
which is it. That's definitely more than Game of Thrones. I think Game of Thrones had about 100 million. Um,
Yeah.
so and from what I understand, this is going to be a ten episode season. So I'm expecting there to be a I'm expecting there to be a lot of things done to avoid what season 6 of Game of Thrones did. That's why I think HBO is probably the perfect place for this series because
Yeah.
there is a lot of stuff that I think they're going to end up doing to kind of avoid those pitfalls. So even some of the stuff that happened in the game that some people may not be a fan of, I think that they might do a good job of being able to either avoid those things or taking the story to another area where you're not expecting so much of that. Because I know
Yeah.
Pedro Pascal, who plays Joel in the series, he said that he didn't even like play the game or finish the game so that he could avoid imitating the game completely. So being able to make it his own, I think is going to be a very interesting thing to do, and I'm excited about that. I don't necessarily want a play by play of the game. I want
Yeah.
them to be able to
Definitely.
make
Yeah.
it their own, but still reminiscent of the game. Because what I don't want to see is that's why I'm saying like I don't really care about the whole the whole thing being just the first game. I want them to explore different areas of it. So I want to know more about the Fireflies. I want to know
Yeah.
how this outbreak began, um, what caused it, what it looked like beforehand. Bella Ramsey, who was actually
Losing Game of
in
Thrones, I think, right?
Game of Thrones. Yeah, she's gonna be playing Ellie. So I'm looking forward to seeing how she does because I thought she did a masterful job in the Game of Thrones. I thought she did a phenomenal job. Um, but she was a lot younger back then. If I'm not mistaken, Ellie was around like at least in game one was like around what 12 or 14, something like that.
Um, I didn't think about that actually.
Something somewhere around
What was
there.
there like there's a 5 year jump? I think wasn't she 14?
Somewhere in there. I
And
know
then
it was
she was
somewhere.
19 in Last of Us. And
That's
there's a
right.
5 year gap.
That's
Last of Us
right.
Part
Yeah.
Two. So I think she was 14.
Yeah. So
I had to think about
I
that
don't
actually,
I
but
don't know how
yeah,
old Bella is, but she looks like she's probably around that age. So I'm expecting there to be a lot of intrigue with that.
sure.
And they got some other people that have connections with HBO as well, like Murray Bartlett, um, who was in Jesus, what was the name of that series? The White Lotus. Did you ever watch that on HBO?
I did not. I have not. I have not.
That was actually a really good show. I enjoyed that. This is a good series. But coming out with season 2, I think later this year. So, uh, I would say check it out if you want to. It was a pretty intriguing story. But I'm I'm interested in seeing how they what they're gonna do with this. Again, I don't want them to go shot for shot, but my 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 bet, The Last of Us, the series is gonna be better than Walking Dead. It is. It is. AMC,
Yeah,
like you said, got lazy. And I think between by the time Glenn died, that's when it seemed as if the series kind of took a hit.
yeah.
You
They're
know,
also just they were so lazy
they
in terms
were,
of storytelling.
they were, they were.
It's just obviously that's a conversation for another day. Um, it's just I can't put my finger on it. You know what I mean? Because
Hmm.
I feel like there's so much you can say
Hmm.
to to support why they've been lazy.
Yeah.
At least in prior seasons, right? Because I'm not sure what they're up to. I really don't know what they're up to now.
Me either. Me either.
Um, but it's just I don't know. I really can't put my finger on like a single reasoning. It's just a amalgamation of things.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of unfortunate to see all these talented actors being wasted. You know?
Right. Right. And I know they're coming out, like you said, they're coming out with a spinoff, another one. This will probably be the third one that they've had.
Tales
That
of the Walking Dead, the Carol and Daryl spinoff.
Wait, hold up. They
Um,
did Carol and Daryl spinoff.
they're going to do a Carol and Daryl spinoff, and they're doing a spinoff with Negan and Maggie.
I knew about Negan and Maggie. I didn't know they
Yeah,
were actually doing. Okay. See, that's
yeah, and
just
also, yeah, they're doing an anthology series too. So basically, like I think my suspicion is like every episode will be dedicated to new survivors. Casting Olivia Munn from X Men,
oh
Magic
my
Mike.
god. Yo,
Yeah, so stuff
there's
like that is why it's just a very oversaturated medium,
mm-hmm.
or well, not medium. Sorry, just she's just oversaturated. Like I'm just
It
I
is.
don't like hearing the word, seeing the words Walking Dead plastered all over my TV screen or
Yeah.
all over social media. You know what I mean? Like I've
Yeah.
given up on that show. And I don't mean to be that one guy who's just like
No,
such a
I
pessimist,
gave up
but
on it too. I gave
you
it up
know,
on it too.
yeah,
It to me it did a lot of what you were talking about with The Walking Dead. I mean, I'm sorry, The Last of Us part two. There was a lot of holes in the story to me where they may explain some stuff like retroactively, but there was just a lot of things that just didn't make any sense to me in terms of progression with the show. I would have preferred. I'm one of those people that where I might hate a series ends, you know, maybe around season three or season four, if it makes sense for the show to stop instead of carrying on, I'm perfectly fine with it. Like Stranger Things, for example, perfectly fine with them ending that like when they're gonna end it. It's a great series, um, but we don't need more than what they're gonna give us. Ozark, another one.
yeah.
Ozark is a phenomenal series. I love that show, but I think we're in season four now, or they're coming out with part two. I want to say within the next month or so. Maybe I might be wrong on that. But it's coming out sometime in the next month or two. Um, and I'm perfectly fine with them ending it right there. I don't want a story to carry on just for the sake of you know trying to get to season
Money.
10 or whatnot. Yeah, because Smallville did that. Smallville did that where it got lazy at like 7 and 8. I want to say actually 7, 8, and then 9 is where it started to somewhat pick back up, and then 10 they ended it off. I didn't. I liked it. I liked that they ended it, but it ended way too long. Or Fast and the Furious is another universe that has carried on way too long. And now they're saying that they want to go back to the basics of Fast and the Furious with the next film.
Yeah,
Like,
if it was from the one of the producers, yeah, I saw that quote. I was
what are
like,
we talking about here? Like, you should have done that 6 movies ago.
yeah, you
Stay,
flew to space.
stay. We don't
You flew to
need.
space.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like
we don't
there's no
need
going back.
them saving the world. Yeah, that I
My
just watched that movie. Oh my god.
I haven't watched it. Yeah,
Oh, horrible, man. Horrible.
I'll say this once though. I Only thing I'll comment on that, before we move on here is
Mm.
I think at this point, like my ideal Fast 10 is bring in like literally like time travel. So I literally like if they start developing cars that can go back in time, like back to like the caveman era, and then you have like them like go like literally that'd be so cool. Or even this like face you off against dinosaurs or something. Like they
Yeah,
open up
yeah,
a
yeah.
portal and they start like face you off against like this giant dinosaur, like a
Mm.
Tyrannosaurus or a pterodactyl. I feel like they should do it.
I,
There's so much potential. I mean, at that point, crossover with Jurassic Park, call it a day, make yourself $1 billion,
yeah,
have
yeah,
Sam
yeah,
Raimi direct it, watch the box office explode.
yeah.
No, but yeah,
I,
I don't even want to. That's just an embarrassment of a franchise. And Vin Diesel talks about it. I'm sorry, I have to say, Vin
no.
Diesel talks about it like it's cinema. Like this guy is
Yeah,
like, oh,
yeah,
the mythology of the family that we like. Like stop.
yeah,
I love
yeah.
you, Vin Diesel. Like you're a good person, but like you're just
He
not
goes
in good
overboard.
movies, bro. Like
Yeah,
I'm sorry. People
I.
watch it ironically. I have not heard a single person who wakes up in the morning and says, "I love Fast and Furious because they're high quality movies." They're
They're
watching
not.
it because it's stupid. They
They're
want like
make.
a popcorn flick, and we
They're
pay for it
making.
too. So we
They're
can't make them.
making. They're making Universal Studios a ton of money. That's the only reason why they're still even
Literally, the only
in
reason why
existence.
that franchise is continuing. Like
I,
honestly, I want Fast 10 back in time, and then Fast 11 to the future.
hey, if
That's
they
it.
do that, they have to visit the Transformers universe
They have to
and
cross over.
battle each other in the vehicles that transform. That they have to do
That
something
I feel like
extreme
that'd
like
be
that.
cool too. Or like
Eh,
go to this is like I might go to Star Wars too. I'm fine with it. Honestly. If they do, I'd probably get a movie at 10, a 5 out of 5. Like if they do that, I actually be impressed. I mean I'd be impressed like on a studio level. I probably
yeah,
actually got the
yeah,
rights to certain characters or whatever.
yeah.
I mean the movie would be stupid. I don't know, bro. I'm done. Like it's just so tiresome. But luckily for us, what's not tiresome is that we actually have a chance to watch good movies.
Yeah.
Um, so
Yeah, thank God we did. Look, we will not be doing a review
uh,
on fast anything.
I
That is.
can't. I mean, I want to take it serious. Like, what am I supposed to
Mm-mm.
say? Vin Diesel like punches his fist into a pillar in Fast 9, and then
Yo,
everything collapses.
that this you're
Oh my god,
joking.
bro.
You're joking, but he actually did something like
He
that.
he he did that,
He
right? Didn't he
actually
do that in like he
it,
overpowered like a bunch of like armed guards,
yeah, in his last one.
and
Yeah,
then
yeah,
or like in the scene in Fast 9 where like there's like a broken bridge, and then the piece of rope
yeah.
connected under the.
Yeah.
Oh my god, bro. The movie is
Listen,
so bad,
I
bro.
love
Like,
Vin Diesel. I love Vin Diesel, to be honest. I love the guy, but there
oh
there's
my god,
there's
man.
a lot of layers into why I think he has issues. Like Bloodshot. Did you ever see that movie?
Oh no, it looked bad too. It looked
It was actually good.
like a early. Well, it was actually all. I thought it looked like an early 2000s like action movie that
Yeah.
flopped and
It
will like
no.
randomly get a remake in like 10
It
years. That's sort
it
of how I
was
viewed it. But
it was reminiscent of that, but it was actually good compared to a lot of stuff that I've seen with him lately. That was actually
that was
on
like
track
the
with being better. It was actually reminding me of
yeah.
Chronicles of Riddick.
Okay, so I'll be honest. I heard Riddick is the original is a pretty good movie, but
Yeah, yeah. Pitch
I
Black
never
and
watched it.
Chronicles of Riddick
I can't take
were
Diesel seriously anymore,
those are good,
respectfully.
but yeah, yeah, not with not Fast Furious. And I'm not mad at him for getting the
Exclusively.
money. I'm not mad at him for getting the money because if
Hey,
Universal's gonna is gonna fund that, you go right for it.
yeah.
And I don't care if that means that you go to Pluto. Like you go ahead and go for that. But I mean, to be completely honest, I don't know why any of us actually watched this movie. I waited until it came onto a streaming service. There was no way
Yeah,
in
'cause
hell.
you're not pouring money into it.
I'm
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
No. I already
Out
have
of
a
principle.
subscription to the platform. So if it's on the platform, okay, I'll watch it. but I am not gonna go spend $10 to $12 in at a theater to willingly sit through something like that. No, no, I gotta be home and have nothing to watch.
Man, yeah, I just giving up on that franchise. So we're just
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, man. But
I'm speechless to be honest in regards to that. But I don't know. Do you think
that
is
is
this a good
hilarious.
time to
I
take a
think that's
break,
it.
or
Yeah,
do we just try powering through,
I
or
think that's
like
it, man.
we're sorry. It's just like if you watch the Fast movie, if you watch
Oh
Fast
man.
9 especially, like it
Nah,
reaches a certain.
anything after Fast 7, to be completely honest, like 6 and 7, five and 6 were extreme, but they were extreme in terms of like, okay, I
It's
could
incredible.
honestly, I could still get it, whatever, cool. After that, I don't want to hear anything else about the series. They should have, they honestly, they should have gone on their merry way when they sent Paul Walker, they
They
said their
should have.
goodbyes. That should have
Yeah.
been the end of it, where we heard
Yeah,
that
yeah,
song.
that's something I'll never joke around about.
Yeah, but
For obvious reasons,
that's where it
but
should have ended. That's where it should
no,
have ended,
oh, 100%. I
because
mean, there are
that was
elements
a
in the
good send off.
yeah, elements in the movie I'll make fun of, like
Yeah,
because there's still so many ridiculous things that
yeah,
happen that have happened in recent
yeah,
Fast movies.
yeah.
I just can't. I think what
But
really
even
like caught me off guard was when The Rock took a submarine missile and then guided it on on ice. I don't know. Or like when
hey man,
what
I
was
forgot about that.
yeah, or in Fast 6 where like he like Vin jumps out the car and then he catches Letty in the air and then somehow doesn't sustain any damage
Yeah,
landing on a
yeah, yeah,
windshield.
yeah.
And he
Oh,
dodged
there's
a
plenty of
tank.
that. There's plenty of that in this last one, man. Like, I
It
understand
was bad.
completely.
Like the
I,
whole like convoy scene where like it's like literally like somehow it's sliding on a flat surface like
hmm
still
hmm
like apparently like friction doesn't exist, right? It's
Yeah,
not the
yeah,
fact that like it's not the fact that like it was still moving. It's the fact it was moving as fast as it was before it went down that like that dirt slope, and
yeah,
it was
yeah,
just like going down and down and down. Or like they
yeah,
brought in like magnets, and
yeah,
then you're just telling me that not a single person has something magnetic on them. Like they were just conscientious about it. I
yeah.
don't know. I mean maybe they were. I didn't really watch the movie. I'll be honest. But like
Trust
it
me,
goes
it's
down.
not worth
It
it.
goes through a building that's being constructed. Vin is being trolled around in the car, in like this huge convoy, and he jumps out before it falls off a cliff.
Yeah.
I'm not making that up, but that's what
No,
happened.
that's
It
exactly
really
how it
kept
was.
going down, and then it reached a mountain. I don't know geography, but I don't know how you go from that. Like I don't know how. Like I just.
Trust me, I
I'm
feel the
so.
same way, man. The movie was
It's
just
just,
ridiculous in every way, shape, or form. And I
I'm
understand
not
why The Rock
honestly.
won't come
I
back.
just you know
I
what.
get it. But the fact
I
that
can't,
Paul
man.
Walker is still alive in this series is blowing my mind. Because how are
Yeah,
you actually going to
obviously,
show him?
yeah. Prayers to Paul Walker.
Like,
But I mean, as long as the family gave them permission, if they do plan on bringing his character back, um, but I don't like that, man.
I'm
I
not a
really
fan of
don't,
it.
and I really
I'm
don't
not a
like
fan
how
of it.
Vin Diesel brings them up in such bizarre ways. I mean, you've seen on social media posts how he says, you refer to him as Pablo. Obviously, it's difficult for him to. I respect him in that regard. Obviously, it's
Mm-hmm.
difficult to refer to someone you lost by their real
Mm-hmm.
name.
Mm-hmm.
But he makes these weird comments like, he gave me a sign that John Cena should have been in the movie, that he should have been my brother. Stuff like that is just, you know, stop. I have to be careful. It's just it's
No,
so yeah.
that weirded
I'm
me
sorry.
out
I
too.
don't mean to.
That
I'm not
weird.
laughing about yeah. For
No,
context,
that
we're not
weirded me
laughing
out too.
about yeah. Exactly. We're not
Yeah,
laughing about Paul Walker's death. It's just the explanations he gives for why
yeah,
certain people like John Cena should make an appearance in the movie. It feels almost disrespectful.
it does.
And
It does.
almost manipulative.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? I don't like that at
That's
all.
what he tried to do with The Rock. Like, we need to do this in honor of Paul,
Yeah,
and I don't think, like, The Rock didn't have that connection with Paul. Like, you
Yeah, I
know,
mean, they
it,
work together,
they
but
work together, but
you're
it's
not going to
not.
return
He didn't
to
make
a
a
series.
promise.
Yeah,
He didn't make a
I
promise.
don't like that at all.
That's
That's just
that
awfully
just threw me off.
disrespectful
It
and
is.
manipulative, and
Yeah, yeah. I didn't.
it's just come on, like like I said, Vin Diesel, you're like overall you're a good person, but don't do that.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm
Cause
not a fan.
honestly, if someone were to do that to me, I'm not. I don't want to appear on the same movie screen as you, let
Yeah,
alone be in your
yeah,
company.
yeah, yeah,
If
yeah,
you're willing to go that far just to convince people to appear in your movie,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
it's just
Uh,
so wrong. I don't like that. I really don't.
yeah,
But
that threw me off a lot. So yeah, but anyway, people, we're gonna go ahead and take a small break real quick, and then when we come back, we're going to be discussing what is it, 2020 film 9 days.
yeah.
So we'll be right back.
Hi, hello, ladies, gentlemen, and everyone in between. My name is Jessica Lemon, and I am the host of Sour, Sweet, and Spooky, a paranormal podcast with a little true crime squeezed in. Because where there's paranormal activity, there's gotta be some kind of true crime involved, right? I talk about ghosts, aliens, murder, cryptids, urban legends, conspiracy theories, and more. Stories from all over the world for you to enjoy every week. So check me out on social media at Sour Sweet Spooky and pretty much every platform that podcasts are found. And be ready for a brand new story. Oh, and remember, stay sour, stay sweet, stay spooky.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's Matthew Tirado, and of course, with my co-host
Yes, sir.
Derek. Well, I'm
Yes, sir.
technically the co-host. Yeah,
We're all
but
co-hosts.
anyways, in this part, what should we be talking about? Let me start from the beginning.
You good? You
Hosts
good?
are back, Derek and Matthew. I don't
Yes,
like
sir.
doing the whole formal thing, so let's get into it.
Yes, sir.
We had an opportunity to watch a beautiful film, 9 days, 2 or so days ago. Um, Sort of resonated with us, deeply, and we just wanted a chance to really get a chance to bring films that are not really widely discussed. Oftentimes due to them not having a very long theatrical release.
Mm-hmm.
Other times they're simply not marketed whatsoever. And
Mm-hmm.
it's something that I was aware about for the past year or so. I never had an opportunity to watch it. I definitely never had the opportunity to discuss it. And I thought this is a nice chance to you know just shed light on the film that I view as a total masterpiece, and I'm sure Derek, feels close to the same, or has his own thoughts on the film too. So, yeah. So, in short, 9 days is simply about a man named Will. He basically just conducts interviews for five unborn souls, and sort of we'll go more into details about it. But this film as a whole, I think is beautiful in the sense of how it's just a reflection of the meaning of life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sort of how we try to find our own purpose. And the opening question I really had, and this goes to Derek, is um, what do you think this film taught you on a personal level that you feel like you can bring into your own life perspective? What are some scenes that you feel like make you reconsider your whole worldview, if you will?
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, one thing that I realized with this film, actually starting off, I didn't really understand what was going on because again, I think I told you this before, but I don't watch trailers. I don't look up the synopsis before I just go in and watch. Um, and this was, it was intriguing at the beginning because there was a lot of like what's going on. All you see is just this guy sitting there watching multiple screens,
Yeah.
and these are old TVs too. Like those, you're you're probably too young to even have experienced one of these TVs. But there's it used to be TVs that basically were like furniture. The whole frame was wood, and the screen is set inside of it, and it's got like
Yeah, I think I know what
dial
you're
on
talking about.
it, and
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
My family had one of those, and that TV lasted majority of my life. and my parents had that for years before I was born. So,
Wow, that's
yeah,
wild.
man, I saw one of those on in this movie. I was like, oh, that's a good throwback right there. But
Yeah.
yeah, man, it's just you're wondering what's going on. It's just a guy watching a bunch of people, and late you go to find out, it's him watching these people's lives, stuff like that, and I was actually thinking about it because it made me think about my childhood, when I actually had this feeling that someone was watching me. So that's what that this whole thing actually reminded me of. But no, I think initial thoughts, very well shot, and pretty good pace. I actually enjoyed the pace of the movie and story.
Yeah.
Not knowing it's a 2 hour movie, so I know there's a lot of people that don't like those long films. I enjoy long films, like what was it? The Justice League uncut, I think, was somewhere around like three
4 hours. Yeah,
four
like
hours.
that
Yeah,
Justice League. Yeah.
loved every bit of it. I as a kid, I'm not sure if you ever checked this out, but there's a movie that was on BET called Jackson. It's called Jackson 5, something like that. It's based off of the life of Michael Jackson and his family and how they got to start. That's like I want to say it's like a 6 hour film. Like
Wow.
you sit and watch it, you're gonna be sitting on at your TV all day, basically. And like I've always enjoyed longer films, so seeing a film that's like this, that's very well paced and still very well done, was good. I until when you suggested this movie, I saw the cover art one or two times, but I never like checked it out because I never heard of that. I'm glad you suggested this, but I want you to tell everyone why you suggested it.
Yeah. So I um I found an account over Instagram. I think Dennegeeks, he sort of deactivated himself a bit. He basically covers Star Wars, Marvel, etc. He's a great person. I joined his live streams and sort of interacted with him there.
Mm,
Um, and so he had I think he where he lives, they were showing 9 days.
okay, okay.
And then he basically posted like an image from the movie, and he said, "This is like one of the best I've seen in a long while. If you can support any local theater, please do so." So that was my introduction into this
Oh,
movie's
okay,
existence, right?
okay, okay.
And sort of I looked into it out of sheer curiosity. I don't own my own car at the moment, unfortunately. So
Hmm.
even if a theater had the movie available, chances are I wouldn't have been able to see it. And I know for a fact that the kinds of movies that I'm into are definitely not the ones my parents or my brothers or other extended family members are into as well. I kind
Yeah,
of just like sit
yeah.
around wondering why we're watching another generic action movie. I'm that kind of guy, right? Um, but yeah, and I read the synopsis and I thought it was very interesting. The
Hmm.
idea of someone uh, overlooking your own personal life.
Hmm. Hmm.
And really, like I said before, it's just I love when films really talk about uh life itself, right? How we
Yeah.
should develop an appreciation for the experiences that we're creating for ourselves, and ones that are ultimately meant to resonate with us until we pass on.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that's really why I suggested the movie, and I tried to know as little as possible beyond the synopsis. I think it's important for me, anyways. I like to know what I'm getting into.
Hmm.
Pause before
Yeah.
I, yeah, before I. It's just a inside joke, but
Man, you keep doing
yeah,
you do that, and I don't even see what is coming, man. Like sometimes I don't even hear like the
yeah,
joke until after that. That's hilarious.
yeah, but no, it's just like I really think it it lays such a great groundwork
Yeah.
uh to really discuss something that all of us share, which is
Hmm.
life, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And there's a real beauty to it. And yeah, so that's sort of what drew me to the film, and obviously based on your response to it as well, I think you certainly enjoyed it.
Oh yeah.
Dare I say, loved it as well. So,
Yeah.
and I'm really glad you mentioned not knowing about it because, um, with this being, this was made on a $10 million budget. It only made $915,000 uh,
Wow.
in the box office as well.
Wow.
Um, and sort of you commented on how well shot it was.
Mm,
But something I did want to reflect on too is the acting as well, because normally in
mm,
lower budget films, sometimes the acting can feel a bit cheap, right? Oftentimes they're
mm.
probably first time actors who've never been on camera before. I personally didn't feel that way, right? I think honestly felt that every person there. I mean, you have Tony Hale, you obviously have Winston Duke, who created Black Panther, Zazie Beetz,
Mm.
um, Benedict Wong, if I'm not mistaken, if that's his
Yeah.
last name too. So you have experienced actors, but what were your thoughts on the performances as a whole?
Yeah. So I excuse me. Of course, I didn't know anything about the movie, right? But I didn't know that Winston Duke was in this, and he didn't get his big break until Black Panther, but he's been in a couple of things over the years, um, and I think had I known he was in this, I would have watched it because he has an incredible presence on screen. That if you watch Us, for example, the Jordan Peele movie, his presence is just like it's felt in on screen, and I don't know what it is about him. Um, but I enjoy his dialogues. It's really strong. So I again I didn't even look at the cover art before I watched this movie.
Yeah.
So I just hit play and I was like, yo, that's Winston Duke. I was already drawn in at that moment when I saw him,
Mm.
right? So um I knew there was going to be a level of intrigue and depth when I saw him. But then I think I only knew Zazie Beetz was in this. Um, I always mess up his last name, but Bill Skarsgård, I think that's how you pronounce his last name.
Skarsgård, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Skarsgård. My bad. Yeah,
thank you for thank you for mentioning him.
yeah he. I didn't know much about him until it, right?
Yeah.
But he's a good performer too. He's a good performer. But I didn't know he was in this either. But between him and Benedict Wong and Zazie Beetz, I actually thought that their performances with Winston Duke, I thought all four of them had like, ooh, I don't even know what the right word is. I felt like there was more depth there to the story because those four were in the film.
Yeah, and
I'll put
I'm
it like
really
that.
glad. I'm really happy you mentioned that because uh, most people expect um, characters to be developed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a reason I emphasize, made sure to mention these are unborn souls, right? I mean, these are
Yeah,
people
yeah,
sort
yeah.
of discovering, um, you know, discovering the opportunity of life, right?
Mm-hmm.
What they
Mm-hmm.
have to do in order to complete the interview process, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it
So
might
they
be a
can
bit
live.
off-putting for yeah, exactly, to live,
Yeah.
right? And I think
Yeah.
it may be a bit off-putting for some people where you don't see other than Will, maybe a bit off-putting for these people not to have development, but that's the
Mm-hmm.
point, right? I mean, they came into existence with set personalities, right? They came into existence with their own thoughts, and
Yeah. Yeah.
thoughts and perspectives, right?
Yeah.
So when you see Winston obviously having these conversations, asking them to reflect on different point of views from Earth, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
it was just very interesting to see all of them having very distinct ideas, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What were their major takeaways? What's something that they feel like they're interested in being able to relive, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I thought that was just it was beautifully done in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
It's one of the few exceptions where I think development, because I think in this case too, it's like the idea is that at the end of the day we're all regular beings, right? I like to use the word
Mm-hmm.
beings in this case because you're not technically human, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're all regular humans, right? We
Yeah.
don't need to have, some expository dialogue, in everyday life explaining, where
Right.
we came from, um,
Right.
what are your list of passions, when were you born, who are your parents, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Everything comes out naturally. In conversations like this, what we're doing now, everything comes out naturally.
Mm-hmm.
I really love that about the movie. And a question I did want to ask with that too is which character appealed to you the most? And I think that will allow us to sort of go more in depth
Oh.
about certain scenes or just the overall narrative, the ending perhaps too. Which one stood out to
Yeah.
you as, wow, I really see parts of myself because of what the overall message of the film is.
You know what? I would say the one character I mostly aligned with was Emma. Um,
Yeah,
and that's because she had this natural curiosity about everything, like why any certain things worked, or how they worked, uh, uh, getting to know the thought process behind certain things. Like it was her natural curiosity throughout the film, even at the beginning. That's the one thing that struck me different about her from the other people that Will interviewed, is that um when Will asked her what she would do about if her, the examples that he gave everybody he interviewed was that um your child is uh gets caught, I think, running away or something like that, and they're now being hung, but they're standing on a chair, and there's only this chair is the only thing that's keeping them alive. And the guy that caught the kid is telling you, in order to save the other people in the what was it, camp or
concentration camp, the concentration camp
concentration camp.
simulation. I
Yeah,
love that scene.
yeah. The only way you can do that is if you remove the chair from underneath your son. And other people were saying, yeah, I would do it, or I wouldn't, or I'm gonna attack the guard or whatever. Um, but she was just looking at it. She was like, she's trying to figure out everything about like like why would he even have a kid, or all these other questions she ended up asking. And Will is just like yelling at her, and she's like really not even reacting. She's just trying. She's just looking at him, trying to figure out why he's yelling. And I think that's actually what struck I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Kyo, if I'm not
Kyo.
mistaken.
Um that's what struck him from the very beginning with her, is that her reaction wasn't the same. Everybody else was kind of like startled or whatever. She was just, ah, that's interesting. Um because my thought process was, you could remove the chair from underneath the kid and still pick him up. The kid doesn't
Yeah,
have to die. You know what I'm
and
saying? Like, all the guard
yeah,
said was remove the chair, and you could save the lives of people in the camp. It didn't mean that your kid had to die.
and remember, and it's interesting bringing it up because one of the candidates. So I think it is important for us at some point to discuss why these particular shows are being interviewed. We'll go
Mm-hmm.
into that because it's very important for the main character Will, played by
Mm-hmm.
Winston Duke. It's
Mm-hmm.
very very important.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the candidates, Kane, mentions I would just shoot the guard,
Yeah, 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 yeah,
and then Will
yeah.
says that's not an option. And
Mm-hmm.
I will touch on the ending. So Kane ends up being the one uh, with the chance, being gifted the opportunity of life, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's a large part to him having a very open-minded perspective, one that's filled with a bit of cynicism,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
also he's fully aware that the world has imperfections, right?
Yes,
And for
yes.
you to sort of, you know, to sort of to gloss over every problem the world suffers from,
Mm-hmm.
you do not understand the meaning of life, right? Life is
Yeah,
meant
yeah,
to
yeah,
be
yeah.
full of those difficulties. Life is
Mm-hmm.
ultimate. I mean, the ultimate meaning of life, for me, anyways, is love, connectedness, and family, right? The
Right. Right.
question is, how do we sustain that, right? How do we
Mm-hmm.
try to, you know, become a person that, one, first off, we have to love ourselves before we can, reciprocate that same love to other people, right?
Mm-hmm.
But also, how do we stop ourselves from feeling a sense of loneliness? How do we
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
try not to live a regrettable existence, right?
Yeah.
And that's sort of what I really love about the film is that Kane is sort of highlighting, well, whatever extends beyond here,
Mm.
is nowhere near to what real people deal with on a regular basis.
Oh, for
And
sure.
that's why Emma even said too, why are you focusing on that? You know, um,
That no, but
uh,
that's
yeah,
that brings to the point where I was about to say, go to. This film to me was more so about perspective. That's what life is about, right? Uh,
exactly.
uh, it was Kane was more so focused on the negatives, and Emma was focused on the positives,
Yeah,
right? And of course she had that natural curiosity, but she's just like, why is it that you have to focus on that, right? Like, yeah, that stuff happens, but you don't have to focus and like dwell on it.
yeah,
Look at all the beauty that's here. Uh, and Kane was more so like, why aren't you focused on that?
yeah. And I think it's is also displayed in their clothing. Many attempts in the film to
Mm-hmm.
there are two color choices they make,
Mm-hmm.
yellow and blue.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and in one of the final scenes where Will asks Emma and Kane, "Why do you think the other person next to you doesn't deserve life?"
Oh yeah, yeah,
Kane is
yeah,
wearing blue,
yeah.
right, to highlight how he sort of has a negative has a very negative perspective. Emma is wearing yellow, right,
Mm-hmm.
symbolizes
Mm-hmm.
optimism. A person who's
Mm-hmm.
willing to, to see the good in people, and the world around her, right? I
Mm-hmm.
love that, and it's even more so demonstrated in Will himself. And that's a question I wanted to ask you as well. Is you know, so was there anything about Will that stood out to you? And with that as well, like, what were your thoughts on uh, him reacting to Amanda's death? And obviously, you can give the context to who Amanda is and sort of how it led to, um, you know, pretty much what the events of the movie's about.
Yeah. Well, Amanda is the person that he chose um previous to live, and well, the previous soul that he chose to live. And to be completely honest, when I first saw that, um, because they're watching her drive, and Will and Keo are watching her drive, and she loses control and plows into a pillar, and they're left speechless, like trying to figure out like what just happened. Like, she just get into a car accident. Like, what? She didn't just kill herself. Like, that was the whole thing. Right? Will was just like that. There's no way that she did that. But kind of find out she did commit suicide. Um, I didn't get to read that letter though. I wanted to read the letter and I kept forgetting. I was like, I'm not gonna pause it. I'm just keep going. Um, but what do you know like what her essence of the note was?
Um, unfortunately, I'm sad to say I didn't pause to read the letter. I want to say in one of her lines it was, I apologize, like, I'm sorry, dad, mom or dad.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think honestly, I think for me, I'm not sure if you feel the same way. I like to leave it up to interpretation of what she wrote, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Because then
yeah.
we can sort of have our own conclusions of, well, for Will, I think it's important for Will to know why Amanda committed the act, but for the
Mm-hmm.
audience, right, that forces us to wonder. Again, it's all about perspective, right? Because we
Mm-hmm.
don't know what people are going through,
Mm-hmm.
right? Unless they
Mm-hmm.
explicitly tell us. And sometimes people are very, um, uh, trying to find the right word. Like it's not submissive, but um, I guess are a bit apprehensive to share how they feel because
Yes.
a fear of judgment, or they'll be they'll be viewed as someone trying to elicit sympathy from others, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in
Mm-hmm.
Amanda's case too, what is most or Will's case rather, I think was most devastating is how he said there was nothing wrong with her. Like I don't know,
Yeah. Yeah.
why she did. Like there should have been warning signs. Like I could have been the one to stop her from doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and to see him sort of lash out after the note was revealed, the suicide note was revealed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to see him when Winston Duke gave a strong, like amazing performance, but the
Yeah.
scream he let out, right,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
when
Yeah.
he was because basically for context, uh, every person Will and Keo watches has different tapes or whatnot
Mm-hmm.
that they can
Mm-hmm.
revisit at later times.
Mm-hmm.
And sort of he's basically going to the shelf, slams down the ground, lets out a massive scream, and that was just so. It was just very depressing to see, and
Yeah. Yeah.
you felt you felt for Will,
Yeah.
and I mean that's really a testament to the film where it's testament to both the actor and the director here, where you can sort of communicate the level of emotion without using many words, and no words
Yeah.
were used until
Yeah.
after that initial scene, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it was just it was tragic. It's tragic.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I think and the one thing that I think that he did pretty very well in there in that film, at least especially in that portion of it, was showcasing that emotion, like you said. But it was kind of like it was very intriguing because while while the people that they're watching are souls that have been chosen to live, they to me, I don't I didn't it's intriguing how connected they are to these people when they don't have more than 9 days to interact with them, right? Before they're
Yeah,
born, before they become a living soul. And also after that part of it, they're not interacting with each other. Like Will tells Kane at the end, like, you will not remember me, right? So it's intriguing to know that he had that connection with someone that doesn't even know who he is, doesn't
yeah,
remember anything about the process, doesn't remember anything about how everything began. Um, so I personally, I get what you're saying in terms of wanting to be left up to the interpretation of the audience. I'm one that unless it's not shown or not read for us, that's the only way I'm okay with not knowing like, because sometimes the director will intentionally not allow the audience to know certain things about specific characters. You kind of have to guess or draw your own conclusion as to what took place, right? But when it's shown, I like to be able to pause it and read. I tried, but the handwriting wasn't as legible in certain spots, so I didn't even I just I think I like read the first line and I was like, all right, I'm gonna just keep moving. I'm not gonna continue to try to read
yeah,
it. Um, but I wanted to know everything that took place, right? Because that's one of those things, like someone committing suicide and you not being able to um understand why it took place is one of those things that a lot of us have experienced with people, that we've known. Like I had a close friend of mine that committed suicide um years ago, and then I didn't understand why she did it. Like I was mad at her for years until I went through it, right? And I'm like, okay, now I understand the process, like the thought process of why she would do something like that. And I came close a couple times to actually doing that myself, but it was one of those things where it was almost like divine intervention at moments, um, to pull me back from doing that. But I can understand why someone would do it, and then no one knows. Like you hide that, and if you're hiding that from family and friends, like I just with this character Amanda, like if she hid it from her family and friends, how would Will even know? How would Will know? Because you're not doing anything, during your day that hints to you thinking about it. You're not saying anything to anyone that hints to anything about it. From what I can understand, where where Will, the position Will is in, he's not able to know someone's thoughts. He can just see what they see, right? See what they see, hear what they see, and that's it. So if that's all you're going to receive, you're not going to know or see what leads up to that unless you're seeing the moments when this person is, by themselves and crying,
Yeah.
right? And even at that, you might not even think that this is exactly, speaking from Will's perspective, you might not understand that's the reason why they're crying, right? Because they're just crying. They're not saying anything. It's just at that point it's just tears. So you know you're not really understanding what took place. So Will's heartbreak was the of her committing suicide was the turning point for him, because up until that moment he was really um kind of patient. He was patient with those souls, right? And then after she committed suicide, all patience went out the window. Dude couldn't take it anymore, and it was very intriguing to see that, because it was, I don't really, we don't understand how he actually dies, right? Because he was the only person that in this film that actually lived. Well, there was someone else that lived prior as well, but she had a very small role. But
So are you
in
referring
terms of,
to Cecilia, Amanda's
yeah,
cousin?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
but in
she
terms of
had,
like,
yeah.
yeah, in terms of like the actual the main characters, Will is the only one that actually lived.
Yeah.
We don't get an understanding of how he died, right?
We are given, they allude to what possibly could have led to his death.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
I do not recall if they gave an exact explanation. I feel like that's something I would have remembered, but
Yeah, me too.
there's a very important conversation Will has with Emma,
Mm-hmm.
where he basically, he has this like hypothetical scenario, right?
Mm-hmm.
Basically describes someone who disliked drama club, but the people disliked him.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and to summarize, he basically, this person felt, excuse me, a great sense of loneliness, right?
Yeah.
And something I noticed too is that he Will wallows in self pity because
Yes. Yes.
he
Yes.
absolutely despises himself for not living a more fulfilled life.
Yeah.
And with that too is that I think what frustrates Will the most is that another person can feel the pain he felt while living,
Yes.
and the
Yes.
very
Yes.
person that
Yes.
he watches over,
Mm-hmm.
right, is one that he cannot help. There is no
Mm-hmm.
way, Will lives in a realm where, you know, lives in a separate world, right?
Mm-hmm.
There is no way, there is no like direct means of communication. It's just a
Mm-hmm.
matter of, because even Amanda comments when she's when she's very young, her mother says, as she's coloring a picture, "Oh, is that your friend? The one that we can't see?" He's like, I know I can't talk to him, but he's always with me."
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Wow, yeah, yeah.
Stuff along those lines too, and it's just even the question I posed, I think I mentioned to you yesterday because we were having a brief discussion, and it was
Mhm.
you know, the question I literally wrote down: Is he seeking to treat others the way the world treated him? Was my question,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
that was reinforced with there's another candidate named Alexander. He's the more sarcastic type.
yeah.
Um, doesn't really take much of anything seriously, and the last conversation they have is, you sit there and you judge me,
Mhm,
and I
mhm,
can't do the same to you. Like you don't have the decency to explain, you know, why, why I'm being removed from the process, why I have to fade from existence.
mhm.
Um, and Will just sort of stands there, taking those comments, taking the profanity, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
it was just, yeah, yeah. I mean, there's so much you can really discuss about Will. The fact that he became a conformist, right? He was, very stuck in his ways. He didn't really
Mhm,
want to open up too much. He's just stuck by the rules.
mhm.
Wasn't interested in venturing anything beyond what he actually does, which is, it accepts a single soul for the opportunity of life, all of that. So
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, um, it's just very powerful too. There's one quote I wanted to mention, and it's
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
my favorite. Well, it's my favorite line in the entire film, and it's, "And what you feel is nothing compared to what people do when they are alive." And that was
Mhm.
when Alexander was watching Fernando. So Fernando is like another person that Will sees from their perspective.
Mhm.
Fernando was a police officer who became paralyzed after an incident. And Will, I think this was a little bit after Will discovered Amanda's uh suicide, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember
Yeah, I
the
think
the
so.
structure of the scenes, but if that was, it makes sense why he lashed out in that way.
Yeah.
But I was curious what the line sort of means to you, personally, or anything like that. Like yeah. So sort of like, what does that line mean to you? Like, what is like the biggest takeaway from that?
Well, it's apparent that these souls don't. They have like a small amount of feeling or emotion, right? They have like maybe like this base level, but it's nothing in terms of like what a human being would experience in terms of pain, joy, like they're kind of, most of them are kind of just like even keel. They're not up or down, right? Um, which is why I think that Will is tortured by his his existence almost, because he can feel all these things, and these people, these souls can't, right? And having that one moment where he actually like imposes uh uh um pain, like he hurts Alexander, right, to make him feel something, puts him in an arm lock, and like this is like minimal to what you would actually feel as a human. um that it, it makes me wonder if he actually committed suicide.
Will,
Yeah,
I,
as
I
to
was under that.
why he's
I was
dead.
under that impression as well. Um, Only because of how shocked and responsive he was to the
Yeah,
way she passed on.
yeah.
I think Will would have been as equally devastated,
Mhm,
regardless of the way Amanda would have died.
mhm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, just the way, because Keo even says, "Too much love, no one to give it to," in reference to
Yeah,
Will.
yeah, yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
he felt total loneliness
Mhm.
to a
And
point
you could see
where,
that he was
yeah,
extremely depressed.
yeah,
You could see
yeah,
it. You can see it. It's when you find yourself in
conveyed through the
that.
colors too. Because notice how the most important shot. Actually, I'll have you take the reins on that in terms of the shot that we were talking about yesterday with
Yeah,
Emma, and
yeah,
if you
yeah,
want to comment on that. But
yeah. No, but I think like the shot you're talking about is when he was talking to Emma. I think she came to the door and asked him if he wanted an apple or something like that, and he ended up closing the door, and the shot is in between the wall, basically showing her on the left and him on the right, but she's dressed in yellow. She's in this yellow dress the entire film. But the light behind her was yellow, and Will is in this is in his office or something like that, or file wherever he put his files, and the room is blue. I believe he had a blue shirt on. If I'm not
yeah,
mistaken. Um, and you could see just how hurt he was in just in that scene. But that's what makes me feel as if he did commit suicide, because the visceral reaction that he had when she did commit suicide is like he understood what pain she felt to lead to that point, but he was pissed that he didn't see like the build up or catch the warning signs. And even Keo was like, "Yo, like even if you did, what would you have done?" He says nothing. Yeah, because you can't do anything where you are. You can't do anything.
yeah,
There's nothing that you're going to be able to do,
just sort of
even if
relieve
you
that sense
could
of
catch
guilt
that.
off him. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So I like that's just what leads me to believe that he did commit suicide, because when
yeah,
you're that alone and depressed and like Keo said, he had all his love but no one to give it to. If you're just in that space where you have no one to help you out, right? Like that's what that can lead to. I think that's the only reason why like I didn't commit suicide. My family was there. They didn't know I was going through it, but they were there for me, and even my ex like uh was there for me. So I didn't like that's the only reason why I didn't do anything,
yeah,
because I knew how it was going to affect them. If I didn't care how my family felt, I wouldn't even be here. I wouldn't. But like I think that's what Will was experiencing. Like you're feeling as if there's no one that cares about you, which he even alluded to, like like this boy, no one liked him. Like so if you're alone and have no one, then I think that's what kind of hurt him, because Amanda had all these people that loved her, right? Like she wasn't alone. And I think that's where he's kind of like, well, if she had all this, why?
yeah.
And
Uh,
that's the one thing that even you can have all that, you can have the family and friends and stuff like that, and it doesn't matter. The pain is too great sometimes to overcome that, which is why I finally got to the point where I'm like, okay, I understand why my friend did what she did, because everybody loves you, but there's something that's deep down that if you're not if you're not paying attention, or you're not around someone all the time, even if you are around them all the time, like because even her father didn't understand, because he was thrown off, right? So I think that's like with what Amanda's family felt is like, we love you, and this ended up being something that took place, right? I think that's why Will was in that depressive state.
yeah, no, and first of all, I want to thank you so much for sharing your mental health journey. It means a lot for
Oh
you to
yeah, yeah, yeah,
obviously
yeah.
review that, because it's always sort of difficult to discuss that. So I really appreciate you for sharing that sincerely,
Oh,
bro.
for sure,
Um,
for sure.
I think, I mean, you're absolutely right. You know, um, and I loved what I think the ending is so satisfying too,
Hmm.
when Will sort of uplifts himself, because Emma. So
Yeah.
basically, any candidate um who I don't want to use the word fail because it's not technically failing. We'll just say who
Wasn't
fails,
chosen.
right? Who wasn't chosen, yeah, even better, right? um, can basically have a memory recreated for them, and Will and Keel
Mm,
would do their best in doing so. Emma, we don't know what Emma writes on the paper,
right.
but it's clear Will feels discomfort in what she's requesting.
Mm-hmm.
So much so that he says no. Later,
Mm-hmm.
it's revealed that Emma decided to write a note specifically for Will, saying, um, you know, be mindful of the world. Be appreciative of what you are able to do, and
Mm-hmm.
really just have a chance to reflect on all like the smallest experiences you share. Because
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, that's sort of that's what's so creative about life itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
That we're
Mm-hmm.
able to forge those kinds of memories. So, throughout the house and even outside of the house, or the outpost, whatever you want to refer to it as,
Mm-hmm.
she wrote sentences about,
Yeah.
this is where I watched uh, X's POV. This is
Mm-hmm.
where this is the part where Kane was laughing at my poop story, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is where I saw Mike, another candidate, have a chance to experience what it's like to be on the beach, right?
Right.
All of
Right.
that.
Yeah.
And then we discover that with him being in the drama club, he was I suppose he was a poet, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
he spoke freely, and there was like
Mm-hmm.
he felt rejuvenated, being able to sort of express himself in a way that others didn't really probably never had a chance to see. No one saw that side of him before. And the
Right. Right.
final line is "Thank you,"
Mm-hmm.
and then
Mm-hmm.
cuts away.
Yeah.
Was done. I mean, that is kudos to, like, that was the best possible ending.
Yeah,
Just to
man.
say thank you.
I think that the great thing about Emma is that she was able to she was just this being that was able to remind him of the good in life, which is why I loved her character, because that's all she was consistently doing that throughout the film,
Yeah.
right? Like, even if someone had some type of negative take, she's just like looks at the positive on it, and she told him take time to reflect on the good, like that's something that because one thing that I found interesting about Will is that he wanted to create these last memories for these beings before they weren't existent in existence anymore. And I think Keo explained that he was the only one that did that. Like other, I don't even know what title he has, but anyone else that's been in his position wouldn't do that. They don't take the time to do that type of thing, which is another reason as to why I think that he ended up committing suicide, because he wanted their final moments to be something joyous and um, peaceful, right? Before they didn't exist anymore. And I think that's what he didn't feel before he died, right? Is that joy and that peace at the end of his life. And so I think that's what he wants to give these beings that moment to just, be at peace. And for him to ask Emma what she wanted to experience, and she basically alluded that she wanted to experience his monologue,
Yeah.
and he said, "No, you got to choose something else.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
you got to find something else.
A bit too
I'm
personal
not
for my
doing that."
liking. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And she said, "Well, you asked, and that's the first thing that came to mind. So
And
if
I don't know
not,
what else.
okay, it's all
Yeah.
good." Yeah,
And Zazie did such a great job. Zazie, I think you pronounced her name correctly.
yeah,
Did such a
yeah.
great job of saying, there's like a sadness. It's the way she delivered the line. There's, oh, I can't think of, I don't know what else.
Mhm,
Like, I can't
mhm.
think of what else have reimagined.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, this film. So there's so much we can dissect. Um, but for me, I've never seen such an incredible film before.
Yeah.
In terms of what it was looking to communicate, how the characters were written, or how ultimately this is just meant to be a reflection of us, right?
Yeah,
About
yeah, yeah,
how we sort of need to take the time and appreciate, you know, what we have in front of us.
yeah.
We have a very limited time on this earth. It's a sad reality,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, really do your damnness to, you know, live a life, you know, you find happiness in.
For
In
sure. But
short, so you know,
I think I think one of the thing about this film that struck me too is like thinking of like what takes place before we're born,
yeah,
right? Like that was the one thing that I loved about this because we don't know. We don't know what happens before you're born. We don't know what happens after we pass. Um, you know, we have different ideas as to what those things are. Different religions believe different things, but ultimately, some people think that after you pass, nothing happens. Like you're
yeah,
just it's that's just the end. Um, I don't think that because energy doesn't stop, right? It's
oh
just
yeah,
it's something it continues. It's transferred. That's what energy is, and energy it transfers from one point to another. And I think that thinking of it like that, I believe something else is at the end of everything. But
yeah,
um, it's one thing. I'm not sure if you watched this, but there was a animated film on Disney Plus called Soul, with Jamie Foxx, that I think came out. I want to say like maybe like last fall, something like that. But it reminded me this reminded me of that, where it's a lost soul. And there was a scene where I think Alexander, as he was coming to his end of existence, just walking off, and he just faded off. It kind of reminded me of what that film Soul showed, which was a wandering soul,
yeah,
like kind of just like stuck in this in between place, and
yeah,
that's what that kind of reminded me of. So no, I thought this is a beautiful piece. This is an amazing movie. This is one of those movies I would end up actually buying um on DVD or Blu-ray.
yeah. I definitely want to buy purchase a physical copy.
Yeah,
There are two brief points I want to bring up. I know
yeah,
we're
yeah.
probably close to wrapping up here, but I would be remiss not to talk about the soundtrack.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
won't go. Yeah, like I said, I don't want to speak too much. Obviously, you're probably very tired of hearing my voice.
Oh no,
Um,
you're good. You're
but if you
good.
but I think even if you search on YouTube, 9 Day soundtrack, one of
Mhm.
the pieces or pieces of music is called 10,327 Days of Life, and it is the violin uh solo that Amanda plays. Because for those
Mhm.
unaware, she's basically this like this violin prodigy, which surprised Will more so that given her chance to have a luxurious career, that
Mhm.
she ends up taking her own
Mhm.
life. 10,327 days is how long Amanda lived. So the song
That's
is in
amazing.
dedication to her.
That's
Um,
amazing.
in case
How'd you
you,
find that out?
I was looking at the soundtrack, and I saw the number. I was thinking to myself, why does this number seem familiar? There's a brief scene where he wrote down 10/327 when she was rehearsing for her for the concert.
Yeah,
She
I
didn't
do remember that.
live the full day to reach 10,328.
Okay.
So I thought that was brilliant to have.
That's very interesting. Very
Yeah,
subtle, but very
yeah,
interesting.
that is
I like that.
stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
And then boy, the other point. Well, I suppose you touched on that. It was just to be a matter of like how the souls disappeared. Mike, for example, I thought
Yeah.
like how he scribbled like this a beach in a
Hmm.
journal after
Yeah, yeah,
watching
yeah.
the POVs of real life people. And there's even a comment he said, I knew I wasn't good enough when he didn't, when he wasn't chosen. And as someone who dealt with, mental health issues in the past, you know,
Mm,
I had that kind of mentality, a very dangerous mentality, right?
mm-hmm.
And it was sort of nice to see someone who, clearly didn't think much of himself to have that happiness before he perishes, so to speak.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
that was a very beautiful scene, and the way the camera pans down, and you see the adult disappear,
Mm-hmm.
was immaculate. So,
Yeah.
I guess with that, what would you rate the film? Where do you stand? Do you consider this a masterpiece? Do you think there are like a few minor flaws that prevent you from, giving it that perfect rating, or where do you stand?
One of those perfect films to me. I'm like out of five. Ticket stubs. I'm gonna give it a five. That was amazing.
Yeah,
That was amazing.
I am the same way, which is surprising because for those who have seen Weekend Heroes,
Yeah,
or even some episodes of Realist, I'm very critical. So
yeah, yeah,
for me to say something is a masterpiece, uh,
yeah.
it's something. It really, the only like minor gripe I have is that the pacing is a bit slow at times,
Hmm. It is.
but
It is.
I can
It is.
forgive that because the writing is so damn good
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
I was like, this is an experience. So
It
yeah,
is.
I
It
just
is.
incredible. I'm really glad they ended up enjoying the film. This is definitely something I want to pick up. Have like a physical copy of.
Oh yeah.
And I'm really glad I had a chance to you know, bring attention to a film that really didn't get much recognition.
Oh,
Um,
for sure, for
and all that.
sure. And
So
let me speak to that dragging out part real fast. I think it just hit me as to why I think that they chose to do that, because for Will there were moments where it felt like things were just dragging along for him
oh,
and
okay.
things are slow. I think that's exactly why they did it that way.
Yeah, that's okay. That yeah. So now I
Yeah,
forget that. Yeah, forgive it.
yeah,
That's yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. That.
yeah,
But no, this is definitely not
yeah,
a film for. I will preface it by saying this is not a film for everyone. And
yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah, yeah.
so I let me rephrase that. I don't want to seem like, oh yeah, we're the only ones who are capable of watching these kinds of films. It's just for
Yeah.
those who are expecting something um more fast paced. This is a very
Hmm.
patient film. Uh,
Yes,
I can
yes,
tell you, like definitely now, like me and you,
yeah.
we you had the opposite. So you were fine with the slow build. I hated the slow
Hmm.
build because I didn't find
Yeah,
anything
yeah,
compelling. So but I think if you wait for its execution, and
yeah.
sort of what it's trying to tell you,
Hmm.
this is an unforgettable experience.
Well, see, for me with that film though, I think the reason why the slow build I was cool with it is because I was expecting for something. I was expecting a good payout at the end.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
there
saying?
was
Like,
there
so
was
that's
not,
what,
yeah, but that's yeah, exactly.
in the moment that's what I was like, okay, this is cool. I'm good with whatever. This was slow at moments. So I was same way. I was like, okay, I think this gonna pay off, and it did. Death on an Island did not pay off. That was oof. That was not it. It has so much potential. To me, it has so much potential. Like just starting off, but um, yeah, I would agree. This is not one of those films that if you're one of those people that need a lot of fast movement and you need a lot of action shots to get through, this is not for you at all. But if you're someone that loves great storytelling and um uh a nice build to lead off to something that is very satisfying at the end, you'll enjoy this movie. It is, and I told you this yesterday. This felt like to me like a museum. That that's
Yeah,
that's that's how it felt to me. It
the
felt like a
shots
museum.
were gorgeous. The stillness of the camera, even the opening scene where the camera pans away from the TV
Yeah,
screen.
yeah,
I Yeah, gorgeous,
yeah.
gorgeous,
No, I
gorgeous,
love it.
gorgeous. Yeah.
I
So
love it.
please
Love it.
check it out. I think it's
Yeah,
available for streaming on the Stars net on Stars, if I'm not mistaken, on
yeah, yeah,
Stars.
yeah, yeah,
It's also available on Apple on the iTunes store for $15. Please support
yeah.
this film. I know it came out 2 years ago, but we need to continue to be able to support independent films, especially ones that are so amazing as this. So please,
Yeah.
if you ever get a chance, or even pick up the physical copy, just support this film in every way because I think this filmmaker Edson Oda, he's a Japanese Brazilian director. I want to see
Hmm.
him continue to do work like this.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
that
yeah,
resonate with me
yeah,
on such an emotional level. So
yeah,
yeah, please,
yeah.
please
I think
watch
some
it.
I think some movies actually take a little longer to hit because there's a movie with Halle Berry that came out like 10 years ago for some reason. The Caller. She has this horrible wig on her. Like that's is this is weird, but it's now all of a sudden for some reason this week it was like trending like I want to say top four, top five on Netflix, and she was even asking like, "What is? Are y'all okay? Like what?" What's going on? But I think some films just take a minute for an audience to find, and because they didn't have a big budget, this is one of those unfortunately that doesn't get that initial press. But I think this is one of those movies that will actually end up getting a lot of push at the end.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, yeah, man. But man, great discussion. Jessica, we miss you. We'll hopefully we'll have you on the next episode. But yeah, please tell everybody where they can find you.
Yeah, it's gonna be a Matt underscore T29 over on Instagram. I still need to update uh my name, so at least OTS is has a
Yeah, yeah.
corporate brand and everything.
It's all good,
Um,
man.
of course, I do want to say first off, for those who aren't aware, OTS is receiving a short sponsor. I want to give a personal
Yeah,
congratulations to Derrick over here because he's been doing
appreciate
all this hard work for
you.
all these years, and it's well deserved success on
Yeah,
his part. And you know, um, yeah. So I figured I'd bring that to the attention of people who are just unaware about it. Just congratulations to you, sir. And I'm glad I'm able to
appreciate
be
that.
part of this brand and to make content for you. So
No, man, no, we appreciate you joining us, man, because it's a team effort. It's a group effort, and putting out great content for everyone that loves these various genres is something that could not be done without everybody, on board. So no, I appreciate you guys for sure. Um, you can follow me at Derrick underscore OTS. It's DERRICK, the black way to spell it. But more so, please follow the brand at OTS Media Co. All social media platforms, otsmediaco.com. You can check out all the articles and other shows that are under the brand. We have a lot of updates to these shows with various intros and templates for the I shouldn't say templates, but the formula we're using for different shows. Everything is getting updated. So please leave a rating, a review. Let us know what you guys think. Realish, you can follow us. I think I keep forgetting because we did change it. But on IG, we are Realish underscore. So REELISH underscore. uh Please follow, give us guys your feedback on what you guys think. Let us know what you guys want us to watch and review, and film or series. We have a series that we're gonna review this next episode, that Matt alluded to earlier. But we want you guys to be able to just check out what we're doing. Please let us know, and we'll catch you guys later.
yeah, peace.
All right, thanks for watching and or listening as
Yes,
well.
thank you.
Apologize, but thank you guys very
Appreciate it,
much.
guys.